Hey there, podcast lovers. Looking for a fresh take on the world? Tune into Nikki's World, where we dive into everything hitting the headlines and chat about just what's on our minds. No filters, just real talk. Whether you're sipping your morning coffee or unwinding after a long day, Nikki's World is your go-to for genuine commentary on the real world. Subscribe now if you want to hear the real deal on what's going on. Join the conversation on Nikki's World, where every episode feels like catching up with an old friend. Don't miss out.
What's up, y'all? Let's do this. Oh, hi guys. Welcome to Nikki's World. I'm Nikki, your host, and today we got to talk about this once again, guys. Trans terrorism has struck again, and has struck again in the blue state of Minnesota, guys. We got to talk about that and so much more. But before we go any further, guys, if you guys love Nikki's World so much, seriously, y'all, can you please consider donating a cup of coffee for me? Because for a price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and Cumberland Farms, guys, you guys help keep this podcast show alive. You guys help me curate more stories, more topics like this to talk about. I do accept Bitcoin donations. I am on Ko-fi, guys. If you guys want to support, sponsor, donate, and tip to Nikki's World. If you guys love Nikki's World so much, seriously, y'all, please hit that like, subscribe, please give me a review. Good, bad, and the ugly. Also, guys, I do have a bunch of affiliate links. First off is Minds.com. Minds.com is a Connecticut-based social media platform. They are an awesome alternative to Facebook, guys. So if you guys value your right to freedom of speech like I do, and you guys want to say stuff without fear of being blocked, suspended, or deplatformed, guys, well then head on over to Minds.com. Also, guys, I do have an awesome affiliate link with Byrna.com. Byrna.com is a less lethal self-defense company, guys. They make their top-of-the-line Byrna SD, Byrna LE, TCR, Mission 4, and their newest, guys, their compact launcher. So if you guys value your right to the Second Amendment, your right to self-defense, but you guys want to do it in a less lethal manner, guys, well then, head on over to my friends at Byrna.com. Also, guys, I do have the most awesome, and I mean awesome affiliate link with North Shore Medical Supply. North Shore Medical Supply is the adult diaper company, guys. They make their top of the line Megamax diaper, their North Shore Supreme pull-ups, and their Eternal boosters, guys. So if you know somebody out there who needs to wear adult diapers and who needs to be put in adult diapers, well then, send them on over to my friends at North Shore Medical Supply, and they'll make sure that they are diapered up and padded up as always. And before we get this show on the road, literally, guys, and I mean literally, If you guys love this episode and any of my other episodes on Nikki's World, seriously, guys, can you please consider sharing this across all the social media platforms that are out there today? Holy wow, that was a mouthful. That was a mouthful. And basically, guys, let's get locked and loaded, ready to go. We got a show to go through, and let's get this party started, shall we? So today I'm at work. I heard about what happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Okay, there was another mass shooting at a Catholic school. This time, guess who the suspect is? A trans identified male. So a man who pretends and cosplays to be a woman shoots up a Catholic school, kills two people, and injures 17. And of course, he took his own life because he knew law enforcement was going to be coming after him anyway. So he did law enforcement a favor by ending himself in the process, which is good, you know. But to me, I'm going to say like this, and I'm going to say this. We need gun control in this country. We need to ban transgender people from owning a gun. We need to make it so hard to own a gun that I'm gonna say like this, and I'm gonna say this, and I know a lot of pro gun nuts are gonna piss me off at this. I'm just gonna say this: if you have a mental illness, if you've been committed to a psychiatric hospital, and you have a diagnosed mental illness in the APA's, the American Psychiatric Association's DSM manual, you should not be allowed to own a gun. You should not be allowed to possess a gun. Your right to own a gun should be stripped away from you. I don't care about your constitutional rights or your civil or constitutional rights. I care about the rights and safety of everybody else. It's that simple. I care about the rights of the American public and the safety of the American public over your feelings and your mental illness and your perversion. As a DSD person, I own a gun myself. In fact, I own a Byrna. I own a Byrna LE, okay? I had to still get a pistol permit in Connecticut. I still had to go through the process of what? Taking an 8 hour like concealed carry permit class, go through my town police department to get fingerprinted, have my fingerprints be sent to the FBI for their blessing and their approval, after which gets sent back to the Connecticut State Police for their blessing and approval. And if all the T's and I's are dotted and crossed, I get a letter from the Connecticut State Police saying, "Hey, get come on down, get your pistol permit, get your card, and you're good to go." Going through the whole process, I have a pistol permit, I have a concealed carry permit in Connecticut. As a DSD person, the thing for me is here, guys, transgender people are mentally unstable. They're taking drugs that should not be in their body. They have psychosis that you don't even want to deal with. And on top of that, guys, and on top of that, they have a fetish and kink for the opposite sex and opposite gender. To me, guys, that alone should ban you from owning a gun. And I will say this: any transgender person that owns and possesses a gun should have be forced to basically sell their gun to the dealer and basically be stripped of owning a gun. It's that simple. It's that simple. The fact that that every shooting at a Catholic or Christian church is by what? A leftist trans cult member. Really? Really? It is. I mean, look at all the what? The recent school shootings and the mass shootings. The Nashville one, for example. That was that was that was committed by a female to male trans. hmm But she got killed by law enforcement doing their job. What's the other one? The one in Colorado. Another trans person committing it. You know what I mean? I can go on and on and on with this, but I believe like this: we need gun control to make sure that transgender people do not possess firearms. They are becoming a liability. They are becoming a danger to society. On top of their psychosis, on top of their mental illness, on top of their fetish and perversion, they should not be allowed to own a gun. Their right to own and possess a firearm should be restricted permanently. They should be restricted to the point where if they tried to get a gun, they would have to go through the lengthiest process to get a gun. Basically like this, I would say like this. If they want to own a gun, they got to get a psychiatrist to sign a letter to the state police saying that yeah, they're transgender, but they don't have any psychosis. They don't have anything that would warrant me civilly committing them in a psychiatric facility. They would have to go through that, and then on top of that, they would have to be subject to background checks. Like say, for example, you would have to have your social media checked. You would have to have your home checked. You would have to go through an extensive, and I mean extensive background check. I would be okay with a background check on a level, guys, that would rival getting a job working on a nuclear submarine. Yeah. But the fact is, you're going to see the left try to twist this around, try to scapegoat, and try to gaslight the living effing motherfucker out of you people. You're going to see that. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's leftists already coming out of the fucking damn woodwork defending the trans mass shooter and blaming it on what? Republicans, conservatives, MAGA cult members. Yeah, you're gonna see them coming out of the woodwork. Even the mainstream media, like what the folks at the Communist News Network, aka CNN, or what the MSNBC, or what's the other one? The ABC, CBS, and NBC. You're gonna see them coming out trying to defend the trans mass shooter and twisting it around by saying, "Oh, look, it was Republicans' fault, conservatives, MAGA, libertarian, Donald Trump's fault." But you know what they're doing? They're basically trying to defend the trans mass shooter, saying that, yeah, they did it because they hated Christians. Christians didn't like men who cosplay as women or women who cosplay as men. You're gonna see that, guys, and I'm willing to bet my paycheck that they're gonna gaslight the effing motherfucker out of us. You're gonna see it, and I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna see like what Tim Waltz, the governor of Minnesota, coming out and saying, "Oh, I'm friends with that shooter. I'm friends with them. They're friends with me." Oh, you man, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. And at this point, guys, there should be a discussion about restricting gun access to the mentally ill and restricting gun access to basically anyone who has a diagnosis of a mental illness that is basically can be backed by the DSM manual. Telling you, man, we're going to need to do that. And at the same time, There should be laws banning transgender people or anyone with a mental illness from owning and possessing a firearm. And if they're caught, there should be an automatic prison time. That means no appeal, no reducing sentences, automatic mandatory minimum of like what? Let's say like 5 years in prison, right then and there. It pretty much is that simple. The fact that this mass shooter shot from the outside into a Catholic school and killed two kids sitting in their pews while they were praying, and then like this, use the gun, and I'm betting you right now, guys. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this with a straight face, guys. I'm betting you right now. The left's gonna say like this. Oh, we need to ban the AR-15. We need to ban the guns and all this. But then when we tell them that the shooter was a trans identified male, watch them try to twist themselves to the point of trying to defend this mass shooter. Watch them try to twist themselves in so many ways. Because I'm gonna tell you this right now, guys. This mass shooter posted a YouTube video of him talking about him wanting to commit like this mass shooting. Luckily, YouTube took it down immediately. Luckily, YouTube took it down, and I believe it's in the hands of the FBI right now. Yeah, I believe so. But from what I've been reading on X, it's been circulated on X and being circulated on alternative social media platforms. But I'm telling you, man, these people don't deserve to own a gun. I'm sorry to say this. There are people in America who do not deserve to own a firearm. Okay? They do not deserve to own a rifle, an AR-15, a shotgun, or a pistol. They do not. Now, as far as burners are less lethal, so I don't see nothing wrong with that. But to me, still, I still wouldn't trust them at all. I still would not put my life on the line over that shit. But I will tell you this, as a concealed carry weapons holder permit and someone who carries less lethal burners, I will say this. There are people in the United States of America who should not and should never, ever be allowed to own a gun. There are people who should be banned from owning a firearm. If you have a documented mental illness, which basically transgenderism and transsexualism is a DSM diagnosis, that alone should ban you from owning a gun. That alone should say to people, you do not have a right to own a gun. If you're caught carrying a gun, you go to prison for 5 years, automatic. No appeal, no adjudicating this down, no saying, oh, I'm trans or this and this and this. No, no, it's that simple. It's no, no, no. You go straight to prison if law enforcement catches you with a gun. It's that simple. The fact that these people who claim to be the opposite sex, okay, have like deep seated mental illness, a fetish, and a kink. These people should not be allowed to own firearms whatsoever. These people should not be. They should never, ever be allowed. I don't care. I don't care what trans groups claims that, oh, it's their right in this. No, it's not. They don't have a right. They're for them for them being trans. That is a mental illness by itself. that should preclude them, ban them, and bar them from ever owning a gun. And I would support legislation restricting gun access to anyone that has a verifiable mental illness that is basically signed by a doctor or psychiatrist or psychologist. Basically, because I'm telling you this right now. I'm telling you this. These people are a walking nuclear bomb waiting to go off. And what happened in Minneapolis today tells me right now, and I'm watching this on Fox Live right now as I'm podcasting this to y'all. That alone should say like this: these people should not be allowed to own firearms. I would I would support legislation at the federal and state level restricting gun access to anyone that has a mental illness, including trans people. I would support it because to me, these people are walking disaster. They are a walking danger to the whole fucking human race. These people should not be allowed out in polite society. To me, these trans cult members who are often violent, who often have mental illnesses, fetish, and a kink, should not be in polite society. They should never be let out among the people like you, me, and everyone else. They should never. And I'm telling you why. I'm telling you why. These people are very violent. They get mean when you tell them, no, you can't use the women's bathroom. No, you can't use the boys' bathroom. You got to use the bathroom that conforms to your biological sex. And they get violent over it. They basically like what? Threaten people. They dox. They bully, intimidate, harass. Yeah, yeah. And yet the left thinks it's okay for them to own a gun. And mind you, this is the same leftists who think it's okay for illegal immigrants to get driver's licenses or even commercial driver's licenses. Mm-hmm. That's the left in this country. That's the left in America. But I'm telling you this right now. I'm telling you this. Transgender people should be banned from owning a gun. You should not be allowed to possess a firearm unless you can prove to a board, to say a firearms board, that you're sane enough that you know what you're doing, that you're not a danger to the public. I'll give you an example. In Connecticut, we have what they call the firearms board. It's like it's a board where they determine whether you're allowed to keep your gun permit or they ban you from it. The firearms board works in conjunction with the courts. So say if someone got arrested, let's say for what? Like negligent discharge of a firearm or firearms related crime. After they're done with the criminal court case, they still have to go through the firearms board to determine whether they get their gun permit back or their guns back. That board is made up of what? People who are appointed by the governor and the legislator. They have what? A judge, a social worker, you know what I mean, or some a representative from law enforcement. They make a determination whether you get to keep your guns or not. I think that should be the same thing at at, at the state and federal level. All states should have something like that. Yeah. But the fact that there are trans there are trans people who have AKs, ARs like that, they're a walking danger to everyone around them. They are a walking cluster fuck around people. They are a threat and a danger to everyone in society. And the fact that the left thinks that, oh, it's not a problem, oh, it's their right. But these are the same leftists who think it's okay for illegal immigrants to get driver's licenses and commercial driver's licenses and drive in the United States without knowing how to read, write, and speak English. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's the left, all right. That's the same left, all right. That is. But I will say this. I will say this, guys. These people should not be allowed to own firearms. I own a Byrna LE, which is the Byrna law enforcement like version. But I tell you this, even with a Byrna, I still have to comply with the same rules and regulations that beholden to the owners. Yeah, and to gun owners too. I still have to comply with the same rules and regulations. But for trans people to own a gun, nah, nah. I would put my foot down right there and say, no, no. They should not be allowed. They should never be allowed to own a gun. And their gun rights should be stripped permanently. If you claim to be if you're a biological man who claims to be a woman, or a biological woman who claims to be a man, that alone should restrict your right to own a gun. I don't care if you say, oh, it's my civil and constitutional right. I don't give a shit. It's My concern is the public's safety, okay? The safety of everyone in in America. That is my concern. To me, I'm not concerned about your rights. You didn't care about the rights of what? Women or men who didn't want you in their spaces, who didn't want to partake in your mental illness, fetish, and perversion. Yeah, I'm the type who will say you should not be allowed to own a gun. You should not be allowed to be in possession of one. You should not be allowed to have one. And the fact that this mass shooter openly displayed his weapons and writing anti-Semitic, anti-MAGA shit, that alone, ladies and gentlemen, is why these people should not be allowed to own a firearm. These people should have their gun rights stripped away from them. I don't care what any leftist says. I don't care what any like trans cult member says. Your mental illness is a threat and a danger to society. The fact that you want to play dress up and pretend you're the opposite sex and then take like dangerous drugs. You wonder why, ladies and gentlemen, why some states restrict gun access to people who even take medical marijuana. Yeah, yeah. There are some states in the United States of America that allow recreational and legal marijuana, but they restrict your right to own a gun. Think about that. Think about that. If states can restrict your right to own a gun because you use marijuana for recreational and medical usage, then we should do the same thing for transgender people. Ban them from owning a gun because of their mental illness, their fetish, their kink, and they take medication that is so dangerous. Yeah, I would be all for it. I would be I would be literally backing it. I would. But I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna say this, guys. We need to talk about gun control in a way that Republicans, conservatives, MAGA, and libertarians can agree on. Okay? We need to talk about it. We need to talk about it in a way that says, okay, we do have a problem with mass shooters who are trans, who are getting access to guns. Okay? We need to find a way to basically protect everybody's Second Amendment right, but make sure we restrict access to people who are transgender, who have a mental illness, and restrict the mentally ill and ban the mentally ill from owning guns. To me, this is where I sometimes will disagree with the MAGA, libertarian, conservatives, and Republicans, and will take the independent view and say, I would rather protect people's rights and safety over the feelings and the mental illnesses of someone else. Now you're gonna hear a lot of arguments from leftists. You're gonna hear a lot of arguments from like liberals, Democrats, anti-gun nuts, even the Sandy Hook cult crowd. And you're going to hear them say, oh, we need to blanket ban guns. We need to take guns off the street. We need to restrict guns from everyone. But you know, the gorilla, the elephant in the room is that mentally ill tranny with a pistol, rifle, AR-15, and a shotgun right there. Let's see how they try to twist, like contort and justify that. Let's see. I'm willing to sit out there in my what back deck with my coffee and watch the shit show. Watch them try to justify it. Mhm. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to see that in the coming days. That you're going to see how the left, the progressives, the liberals, the anti-gun nuts will try to twist this story, will try to bury the story. They'll even try to say, oh, it was MAGA's fault. It was conservatives, libertarians, or Republicans who encouraged that trans person to commit that horrible crime. But you know what they're doing? They're softening the blow, knowing that their side caused this mass shooting, their side caused this crime, their side caused the deaths of two kids, and yet they want to blame the other side, but don't want to take what's that thing? What's that word called? What's those two words I'm looking at, guys? Accountability and responsibility. They don't want to take accountability and responsibility. They don't want to say like this, oh, we're all for restricting guns, but we have to make sure that the mentally ill don't get guns so they don't commit mass shootings. That's what you're gonna hear from the anti-gun left. And I guarantee you guys, I will bet my paycheck right on the table here. And you guys can flag it on August 27, 2025, that the left will go through this twisting, contorting, and trying to blame the other side, or is what Dan Bongino, who's now what deputy director of the FBI, would say. Whenever the left accuses you of the very thing that they're doing, or it's like they say, or it's like he says about gaslighting. Yeah, they're gonna lie often, and isolate you from the truth. But we all know eventually the truth's gonna come out, and it's gonna be like a beach ball. You can suppress that truth all you want, but sooner or later, like a beach ball being put underwater, it's gonna find its way up. It is. But I'm telling you, as I'm watching this on Fox Live right now, you're seeing the liberal media in Minneapolis trying to show sympathy to the trans mass shooter and trying to say, "Oh, we didn't do enough for for the mass shooter. Oh, we didn't do enough. What about the what about the what about the kids, the two kids that died and the 17 that are still in the fucking damn hospital? Yeah, what about them? Yeah, to me, I'm not gonna name that mass shooter because you know why? We don't want copycats doing the same shit. We don't. But I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this loudly, is this. We need to get gun control in a way that protects the Second Amendment, but restricts the mentally ill and restricts the transgender community from owning a gun. Because I would say like this. I see transgender people posting like t-shirts or posters or pictures of them saying trans rights or else. That is the why they should not be allowed to own a gun. That should be the reason why law enforcement should be going to their house and and taking their guns away from them. These people who post violent stuff about forcing their way into like what women's bathrooms or what forcing their way into men's bathrooms or forcing society to pander to their fetish and kink through the barrel of a gun. These people should not be allowed to own it. They should never be allowed to possess it. And I for one would be willing to endorse any legislation at the state or federal law level that restricts the mentally ill and the trans cult from owning a gun. I would be willing to back that, willing to put my name to endorse it. Because I'm gonna say like this: as someone who carries a Byrna LE, which is a less lethal, guys, and it is a less lethal, there are people who shouldn't be allowed to own even a burner. Even if you have even if you have a mental illness, I still wouldn't trust you with that. I wouldn't even trust you with my mother with a burner, let alone a gun. Yeah. But I know what's gonna happen in the coming hours, coming days and weeks. You're gonna see the anti-gun left. You're gonna see the what? The anti-gun cult from like what? David Hogg and from the Sandy Hook cult coming out saying, "Oh, we should ban guns. We should ban this." But I'll hit them back with like this. Okay, then let's ban the mentally ill from owning guns. Let's ban the transgender cult from owning guns. Let's see how fast they defend that shit. Let's see how fast that they try to contort, twist, and try to manipulate it to say, well, we need to ban AR-15s. We need to ban this. Well, here's the thing. From our side, we need to ban the mentally ill. We need to ban people who have a mental illness, who have a criminal conviction, okay, who have basically mental illness like that trans mass shooter, and say they should not be allowed to own a gun. They should not be allowed to possess a firearm. They should never, ever be allowed to because I'm going to say this, and I know it's going to piss a lot of people. I know a few people who were trans originally, but detransitioned back and have like pistol permits, gun permits, and they've shown me like pictures with them with their guns. Those are the people I would be okay with because they've gotten away from the transgender cult, the transgender nonsense, and the transgender bullshit, and they've gone back to normalcy and gone back to where they just be themselves and basically like detransitioned from from the trans cult bullshit. Those are the people I would be okay with owning a gun. I know two D-trans people on X that have pistol permits that carry a gun. Those people I would be okay. But for the people who transition from like male to female or female to male, I would not allow them to own a gun. I would I would fight it tooth and nail. I would even fight it with every fucking fiber of my body, saying, you should not be allowed to own a gun. You have a mental illness. Oh, you're transgender? You don't get to own a gun. Right then and there. The reason for that, guys, and I'm going to say this, these people are mentally ill. These people are unhinged. These people are basically mentally unstable. Even a psychiatrist and a psychologist who treat these people, they know they're mentally unstable. They know they have a fetish and a kink. They know they basically have a perversion that should be should want them being committed to a facility. But I will say this, and I will say this: these people should not even be allowed. These people, and the two children that died in this shooting, the trans cult had blood on their hands. The trans cult is basically responsible for this horrific crime. Yeah, there, I said it. They are responsible for this horrific crime. They caused this. They are directly responsible for it. And you know what? I wouldn't give two shits of a flying ass about it. I wouldn't. But I will say like this, guys. As someone who has a pistol permit and a concealed carry permit and has a less lethal burner, I will say this: there are certain people who should not be allowed to carry a gun, and even less lethal. Because I'm gonna say like this: if you have a mental illness, you shouldn't be allowed to carry either. You should never be allowed to carry because you know why? Your mental illness, your perversion, your fetish and kink is a danger to society. It's a danger to people. It is. It literally is, guys. I make no bones about it. But I will say this. I will say this, guys. The fact that like this mass shooting is caused by that, yeah, I will say this. I will say this. I'll say this. I believe wholeheartedly that transgender people should not be allowed to own a gun. I don't care how sane you try to convince people. I don't care what you say, how you try to twist and contort, saying that my fetish, my kink is not a problem. Bull fuck shit. Bullshit. We don't trust you with a gun. I don't even trust you with keys to the nuclear bomb. That even. I wouldn't even trust you with the keys to the nuclear bomb. I wouldn't. Let alone a gun. Wouldn't trust you either. But I will. But I will argue for banning them from possessing a firearm. I know the left is going to try to say, "Oh, we need to ban all guns. We need to ban all guns." But you know the problem is they don't see the 600-pound gorilla and the elephant in the room. And you know what that 600-pound gorilla and the elephant in the room is, ladies and gentlemen? It's the mentally ill in the trans cult that's in that room. The left will say, "Oh, we need to ban all guns. We need to ban all guns. We need to ban all guns," but they don't see the 600-pound gorilla and the elephant in the room that's sitting in the corner. That's going like this. That's a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. And what we saw in Minnesota today, guys, that was the ticking time bomb. That was the ticking time bomb that went off, and it went off in a big way, guys. It really did. And I'm telling you right now, guys, I'm telling you right now, this is gonna be talked about for days, for weeks, for months. And to me, the message is clear. Trans people should be banned from owning a gun. They should be restricted. They should be banned, and their right to own a gun should be stripped away from them. I would support it because you know why? They have a mental illness, they have a fetish, they have a kink, and on top of that, they're they're mentally unstable, and because of that, they should not be allowed to own a gun. And if they have it, they should be stripped away from them. They should. I want to see like this. I want to see how fast liberals, progressives, Democrats, leftists, and the trans quote try to defend and justify why they should own a gun, even though they have a mental illness. I want to see it because I will sit there with my coffee and be like this. Okay, let's see how you justify it, and let me bring the popcorn and the beer because I want to see how that's gonna go down because I want to see it too. And I tell you what, guys, and I tell you what, it'd be interesting to see how they twist, contort, and try to justify like being able to own a gun despite them having a mental illness and a fetish and a kink. Yeah, I want to see that, guys, and I really do. And I tell you what, it would be very interesting to see. But you know what I'll say? I'm glad that this mass shooter took himself out. I'm glad he took himself out. Because you know why? I wouldn't want the taxpayers to pay for his prison sentence and possibly his transition. Yeah, I wouldn't want the taxpayers to pay for it. You know what I mean? But I hear his new pronouns is from was and were. You know what I mean? So we're just like playing the left's games. You know, as they say, he had pronouns, but now his pronouns is was and were. So that's where I look at it. And to me, I'm glad I'm glad like this that this mass shooter took himself out. That's good because I wouldn't want the taxpayers to pay for his prison sentence and to pay for his transition. Okay? And at the same time, guys, there needs to be a conversation about banning trans people from owning a gun. There needs to be a conversation about banning the mentally ill and the transgender community from owning and possessing a gun. There needs to, guys. The conversation needs to start immediately because we all know he ain't alive anymore. So there's no prosecuting him or anything. But we all know where he's going. Yeah, but like I said, there needs to be a conversation on gun control and how we can restrict gun access to the mentally ill and the transgender community. It's that simple, guys. It's really that simple. Wow, that was a good long show, guys. That was a good long show. Yep. And I know there's going to be more talking about this, and I know we'll talk more about this in coming episodes and all that. But I want to thank you guys for listening to Nikki's World. I'm Nikki, your host. I will see y'all soon. Bye for now. You just listened to an episode of Nikki's World. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all soon. Bye for now.